And now, it's time for Talkin' New York Sports with Billy C. and Brooklyn Mike, part of the BillyCBoxing.com network of programming. And here's your hosts, Billy C. and Brooklyn Mike.
We're coming at you from the Billy C studio in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Caligero, and it's time for Talkin' New York Sports with Billy C. and Brooklyn Mike. And joining me, I'm sure it's a little warmer where he is, my man, Brooklyn Mike. What's up, brother?
It's not that much warmer. It's a little chilly this morning. It's probably in the low 40s.
Oh, come on. Come on. I laughed. The low 40s, it's not that much. You know how cold it is. First of all, I'm north of the city, so that's usually like 20 degrees difference, you know. The ground is frozen solid here in beautiful upstate New York. So, and we're supposed to get snow. We're supposed to get snow tomorrow. So, wow. I'll tell you, it's
no snow here. Actually, it's a little chilly in the morning, but by afternoon, it's usually around 55 to 60. So it's still shorts weather over here.
Well, quit you bragging. You know what's happening with the world today, the way the weather's going. I mean, before you know, you guys are going to be having to put on studded snow ties and stuff just like we are, the way things
are.
You're
not kidding.
You've had some bad. I mean, it's talking weather with Billy C. and Brooklyn Mike, but you've had some pretty bad winters over the last couple, right?
Well, you know what? The difference is between New York and Carolina is that when it snows here, it's pretty, and it goes away in a day and a half.
But it shuts you down.
Well, it shuts you down because two things. One, they don't have a budget for snow removal because it's not a necessity. And two, people don't know how to drive in the snow down here. So the only people that are out and about are usually New Yorkers.
The snowbirds, right?
Exactly.
Hey, before we get started, you wanted to make a mention of the tragic happenings in Connecticut yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, our show is all about, sports, and we have a lot of fun, and we talk about it, but, sometimes there are, these tragedies, these senseless acts of violence that take place, and I just wanted to, send our thoughts and prayers to the victims and families of the people of Connecticut. What's even worse, bro, is that, when children are involved, and it was just senseless. You still don't know what the motive was for this, other than the fact that the person that did it just had some mental problems, and it's just it's a tragedy that innocent people have to suffer like that. Yeah,
no doubt, and it's unfortunate that people do suffer from mental illness, but I hate to say this, and I don't want to sound cruel, but that's no damn excuse, man. I mean, you got to gripe. I mean, when you look into the facts and these kids, I mean, we're talking babies in my eyes. 5-year-olds and up in an elementary school, no rhyme or reason. They think he might have had an issue with his parents, but she wasn't even there. So crazy stuff, and then it starts the whole other swing of things. People now they're afraid to put their kids on the bus. They're afraid to send them to school. You start hearing about the gun control again. And, my opinion is, listen, these crazy nuts that are going to do something like this, whether guns were legal to possess or not, they're still going to get them. I mean, it's crazy to think to make guns. And I don't really, I'm not, a big gun guy or anything like that. But my point is it's crazy to say across the board, see, these kinds of things wouldn't happen if guns weren't legal. And I disagree. I think that the people that are going to do something like this are going to get their hands on guns anyway. Yeah,
there's an old saying that if you outlaw guns, only outlaws will have guns.
Exactly.
That's absolutely true. In this case, the guns were legal. They were owned by the shooter's mother.
Right.
So they were legal. They were registered. And, if you want to commit an act of violence, you're going to do it. I mean, Bob Costas, who I admire as a broadcaster, and I've loved his work over the years, he said one of the most ridiculous things a couple weeks ago after the tragedy with Javon Belcher, his murder-suicide with him and his girlfriend. He said that if there was gun control laws and we weren't allowed to have guns, that Javon Belcher and his girlfriend would be alive today. That is absolutely ridiculous, because if he wanted to commit this crime, the man was 6'2", plus pounds, and his girlfriend was 5 feet tall and 100 pounds soaking wet, he was going to kill this woman no matter what. So the outcome would have been the same, but the method would have been different. So, I don't want to get into gun issues. Obviously I believe in our amendment right to carry guns and to own guns, and, not that I have an arsenal, but, I do own one or two, but, I use them for what people use them for, you go to the range and you shoot and that's it. You go hunting and it's fine. But, if you want to commit a crime, a heinous crime like this, you're going to find a way to do it no matter what. So it has nothing to do with the gun control law.
No, I agree. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not a big gun guy, but I do have guns. I don't have, I'm not a pistol guy. I don't have a permit to carry a pistol. But my thought is, I don't even hunt. I haven't shot a gun in 30 years, but that doesn't mean I don't have the right to have one, under my bed, waiting for somebody to do anything. And yes, it is for protection. And I believe that, people should have it. And if you go back to the 70s, what started happening then was the criminals ended up with more firepower than the police. So that changed all of that around. So that all they have to do is go look into history and see that, criminals that are going to carry guns for bad intentions are going to get them whether they're legal or not. My big hang up with these kinds of travesties is that ever since, and the media has to be put on blame too, because ever since we publicized this and we have CNN there and helicopters and all this stuff, and we're broadcasting stuff live, I mean, it goes back, in my opinion, to the Columbine tragedy. And ever since then, who's to say, Mikey, that we don't have a bunch of copycats out there, wanting to get, on the news?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because if you're going to commit a heinous crime like this, yeah, you want to go down in a blaze of glory.
Yep.
You want to be on the news. You want to be plastered all over the media. And this is what the media – listen, we know that, you watch the news. If you break it down, it's 80% tragedy, 10%, feel-good stories and 10% sports. But mostly it's 80% tragedy, because when there's a tragedy, that's what they want to report. And that's just the bottom line about the news. So, yeah, I mean, it does play into it.
I mean, look at it this way. CNN and stuff like that, if there's not a war going on or some tragic event like this, what else are they going to talk about?
Exactly.
Stocks, we all know that. That's going in the toilet, But anyway, yeah, both our thoughts and prayers go out to all of the families and friends of the victims. And like Mikey says, obviously we could go on and on about it, but it's not our specialty, so we won't. But anyway, let's get cooking. What I wanted to talk about first, get it out of the way, because it means very, very little to both of us. Maybe a smidgen if we combine our feelings for hockey together. If we both combine how we feel, maybe a smidgen we care. But the NHL yesterday afternoon in New York filed a suit against the players. I guess it's a formality. The players are getting ready to file something against the NHL. What's your thoughts, man?
It is a formality, and you knew it was going to come. And, it is what it is. You and I have been saying this, since day one, that we doubt there's going to be a season. I mean, they were saying this way before the deadline hit. It's too bad. I mean, we're not avid, NHL fans, and we don't, watch a lot of games. But, I mean, it's unfortunate for the fans out there. And I told you, a couple weeks ago when we were talking, I said, if I had to take one Game 7 to watch, be it baseball, basketball, or hockey, I'm watching hockey. A Game 7 in hockey is the most exciting game, period. No matter who's playing. It doesn't have to be your team or not. I love it. But, that being said, it's a money issue. I thought the owners made a fair offer, but the Players Association said nay, and they just keep going, keep canceling games slowly but surely, and eventually it's going to come to the point where they say, okay, that's it, the season's lost. Yeah. So be it, and move forward to try to get it done, and hopefully salvage next season.
Well, I don't really care. You're a better man than I. You'll at least watch the Game 7. I could care less about. Honestly, and I hope we don't lose any viewers or listeners, but I could care less about hockey on any level. I mean, I love that the kids play it and all the Canadians and everything else, but, and I've been involved with teams as far as sponsorships and covering the sport and stuff. And, yes, it can be exciting at the games, but so is any live event. I mean, even tennis can be exciting if you're watching female tennis, So, at this point, I agree with what you said weeks and weeks ago that there will not be a season. Why should there be? Why do they keep even hanging on? I mean, the amount of money that they've already lost, and what about the fans? I mean, I guess there's some diehards out there, Mikey, that, would tune in just like I would if football, was only going to have a season for 3 weeks. I'd probably tune in, but unless they stop doing the kickoffs. But anyway, NHL, it doesn't look good for them.
Well, a lot of New Yorkers are pissed off because they actually felt this was the year that the Rangers were actually going to, get to the finals and win the cup.
Well,
so I can understand, a bunch of New Yorkers, especially obviously there's a lot more Ranger fans than Islander fans, but I can understand why they're pissed off because this could have been the first year since '94.
Well, I'll tell you what. If I have to pick a team, I pick the Islanders, and they've been terrible since the '80s. So it's a safe season for the Islander fans. They don't have to worry. It's sort of like the way I think about with the Jets. But anyway, let's talk a little hoops. The Knicks, they're doing good, man. They're not slowing down yet. They got the third best record in basketball, the best record in the Eastern Conference. Our boys, the Nets, lost to them earlier in the week. They were ahead. Then they blew it. They seem to be the Nets seem to be struggling. Tell me about the Knicks, man. I mean, this team's for real. Are they going to keep it up?
You know what? Barring injury, yeah, why not? I mean, this team is they're good all around. I mean, Woodson has them playing very good defense. I mean, you could just see that Mike D'Antoni was not the coach for this team. And Woodson definitely is, and Carmelo is playing for him. He's listening to what that coach has to say, and it's working out on all levels. Obviously, he went down the other day with an ankle injury, so we have to keep an eye on that. But like you said, man, they're.
Well, we just lost you, Mikey. So let me get Mikey back here. The Knicks, both Mikey and myself are both Nets fans, so we definitely are pulling for the Nets to pass the Knicks in terms of NBA. And the bottom line is, I still feel strongly about the Nets team, the Brooklyn Nets. It's not like they're sinking into the abyss. They're 4 games out of first. But, if the season was going to end today, they definitely are in the playoffs, So they played a tough game last night. That's for sure. They blew a 17-point lead to go into double overtime to finally win that game. So, the Nets are hanging in there, but the New York Knicks, unbelievable. They started out pretty hot. They seem to be maintaining that scorchiness of play because, they just keep going on. And I think what Mikey just said, we're trying to get him back here in a second. The whole system crapped out. But what Mikey said about the Knicks staying healthy, that's obviously the key here. And he also mentions about Carmelo Anthony. That was a guy that I had hoped that the Nets were going to get. I've always loved Carmelo Anthony. I thought that, he's an elite player. I know he's an elite player in the NBA. But what Mike alluded to, that he's playing for his coach right now, that's been the problem throughout the career of Carmelo Anthony. He, at times, doesn't feel like playing for his coach or doesn't agree with something. And, it's like these superstar athletes who develop an attitude, and then all of a sudden their performance goes down. You have to keep in mind that these guys, and it's not just like this for basketball, because it's like this for every single professional sport. These guys, as kids, as young athletes moving up, Okay, moving up from whether they in football play in Pop Warner or Little League in baseball and what have you, they were always the best, the superstar of their team. You know, the hero of their high school team. You know, the talk of the town, especially small town USA. You know, the guy that was, you know, better than anyone else. You know, and you know, they go through that growing up. And then the next stage is you know, they get into college and they start playing on the college level, and they realize that you know, they're on teams now with people with similar abilities, similar talent, but yet of those college guys, the ones rise to the top, and then the same goes to the next step when they get into the professional ranks, and then of course you have the best of the best of the best that rise to the top. Carmelo Anthony is a good example of that. He's a guy that was, you know, the best as a young kid, the best on his college team, and you know, obviously he's one of the better players in the NFL. I mean, in the NBA. I wouldn't exactly call him the best in the NBA, but he's one of the best. And I think it took him a little while to mature and to realize that you know, everything wasn't all about him. You know, and going to the Knicks, I think, has been a good move for him. And of course, a good move for the team itself. So, good all around for all of those guys. So, I think we got you back, do we?
Yeah. Where would you go? Get coffee? What happened?
Nah, I had to reboot the whole damn system. Yes, we have a new system. I just haven't had a chance to put it in place. It's all installed. The software is installed and everything's done. I just haven't physically plugged it in. So I had to reboot the whole friggin' thing. But anyway, I was doing my dance about Carmelo Anthony. Let's talk a little about the Nets. Are you panicking yet?
No. I mean, they've won 2 in a row. You know, Joe Johnson is playing like, you know, you expected Joe Johnson to play. And you know, listen, they're 13-9, second place in the East. I mean, I'm not panicked. They're going to be in the hunt for the playoffs. So I'm not worried about that.
Well, let me ask you.
You need Brook Lopez to be 100%. Keep that in mind. So you know, again, it's all about injury and health, and if he's healthy, that team rolls.
Well, let me ask you this, and it's a great segue what you just did, because that's exactly what I want to ask you. The Knicks, to me, appear to have a bench. You know, they, obviously they do, especially when Stoudemire gets back 100%. But the thing is that, you know, should an injury hit the Knicks, they seem to have somebody that it's at least competent enough to take over and maybe not miss too much as their starters get healthy. Do the Nets have the bench? I don't see it as strong as the Knicks.
No, the Knicks have an incredible bench. You know, even though they're, you know, everybody made a, you know, joke of it that they're an old team. You know, guys like Camby and Kidd, very strong bench. You mentioned that Stoudemire, when he comes back, you know, as long as he comes back and he is, you know, he plays off the bench and he, you know, he doesn't start, you know, the team has a lot of depth. And I didn't even mention like Rasheed Wallace. I mean, he's been playing great ball. No matter who they've put in there, be Steve Novak, Prigioni, the 35-year-old rookie, it doesn't matter who they're putting in there. They seem to fit into Woodson's system, and they're just playing great ball. So even without Anthony, if he's out a game or two, you don't really say, okay, oh no, we're going to lose this game now. Nah, it used to be that way, but right now, no, it's not. There's too much depth, and you know, they're playing defense, and you know, when Shumpert is back and he's 100%, that's another guy who's going to add to your defense. So it's a good solid team. They probably have the best depth in the East.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I think bench, you know, not that it wasn't important in you know, the past or anything, you know, and I'm not just talking about last year, I'm talking about in the past 20, 30, 40 years ago, for all pro sports. I think it's more important in today's sporting world to have a solid bench. We've seen it not only, you know, a bench that's lacking. We've not only seen it hurt teams in the NBA, but we've seen it in baseball. We've seen it in football, you know, especially with our teams. But, you know, it's important, and I can't believe that GMs don't focus on that.
They should focus on it. I mean, and good GMs do. I mean, look at the Giants, the New York Football Giants. Look at the Yankees. I mean, the Yankees have guys sitting on their bench that would start for the Mets.
Well, let's talk about the Yankees because we start talking about great coaches and organizations that stock their bench and have great players, and all of a sudden we're going to have to start talking about Belichick and the Patriots, and I got my stomach is already kind of turning a little bit this morning, so I just don't want to throw up on air, So let's talk about the baseball. There's a lot of stuff going on with everybody in baseball. Oh well, everyone except the Mets, but. The one thing I do want to start off, I want to talk about the Mets, is the fact that now a guy like R.A. Dickey, who's been one of the nicest guys, he seems like one of the nicest guys. I've never met him personally, but he seems like a nice guy on and off the field. He's a professional. He's always polite. He conducts himself in interviews. And all of a sudden it was announced in the papers this past week that, he's getting pissed off. He's getting mad at the Mets organization because the Mets haven't really taken any steps. They shopped him around. We talked about it last week. They shopped him around. They really didn't get any interest with the dollars they're talking about. But on the opposite side of the coin, they haven't really made a move to sign him. They're not far from their contract talks. And according to the article I read earlier in the week, R.A. Dickey said, hey, listen, if we don't get this done before the season, it's not going to get done. I'll finish out my time, and I'm gone. What's your thoughts?
My thought is that before the weekend is over, R.A. Dickey will be traded. I think that, we see R.A. Dickey as a great guy. He's a fan favorite. But for me, I don't know what exactly it is, but there's something with the Met organization and R.A. Dickey. There seems to be some kind of bad blood. And I don't know what it is. It could be just a hunch, but there seems to be some kind of bad blood because they're not far apart as far as money, but the Mets won't budge. Dickey is asking for basically $26 million on top of the $5 million that he's owed next year in 2013, and the Mets are offering $25. So they're $6 million apart, which is really not a lot. He's not asking for market value for a Cy Young Award winner. He's asking way below market value. So there seems to be some kind of bitterness, some kind of bad blood. And at this point, I think the Mets, they just want to get rid of him. They want to deal him. That being said, if the Mets don't get anybody that's major league ready, I'm going to be pissed off. Okay? Because Dickey, if you look at his numbers, and I was comparing his numbers to Zach Greinke, who just signed a $147 million contract with the Dodgers. Since 2010, okay, I'm gonna compare your numbers here. Dickey has been 39-28, and that's with the Mets. Greinke's been 41-25. Innings pitched 616 for Dickey, 604 for Greinke. ERA 2.95 for Dickey, 3.83 for Greinke. Opponent's batting average, 244 for Dickey, 252 for Greinke. Yes, is Greinke a lot younger? Yeah, 10, 12 years younger? Absolutely. But the man just came off a Cy Young Award win. He's been your most consistent pitcher since he's been with the Mets for the last 3 seasons. So why is $3 million a year standing in the way of signing this guy? So then I have to say there's got to be something else that we don't know about, because I think they're just hell-bent on trading him, and I think the front runner right now is the Toronto Blue Jays.
That's my team. They're the Mets, as far as I'm concerned. They got my guy. But, I'm not so sure unless something is developed, the bad blood angle that you're talking about. I think that when you look at it from a business perspective, that's all they got to trade. It's the only guy they got to trade. They chose to keep your hero. They chose to keep David Wright instead. They gave him $100 million. He's going to finish his career with the Mets just like he dreamed about doing. I even a tear welted up in my eye for that speech. But,
did you get a tear in your eye?
Almost. But that could have been because I didn't have my safety glasses on when I was cutting a 2x4. So I might have, and I'm not, and I don't even know how to cut 2x4s. So I don't even know why I said that. But anyway, the bottom line is they don't have anyone else to try and get a trade, get some talent, save some money. I mean, they're against the wall. And in a sense, though, Mikey, and you agreed with me a couple of weeks ago. Really, it wouldn't shock me to get rid of Dickey if someone was willing to pay. However, if they're not willing to pay, if you're not going to trade him and get something substantial, like you said just now, a guy ready to step in and pitch and start, or somebody that's going to step in and play somewhere else on the field right away, it doesn't make sense then, because you're not bet. I think Bill Parcells in the NFL said it best. When you do trades and you trying to keep with a salary cap and something, if you can at least make a lateral move talent wise and save money, or make your team better as a result of the trade, that's when you do it, not the opposite. You don't want to become weaker and get rid of somebody like Dickey. That's my opinion. I mean, you do comparisons. What about the Diamondbacks deal that they just had with Brandon McCarthy? $15.5 million for him. He's a younger pitcher too, but he didn't have the numbers that Dickey had.
Right, exactly. And like I said, he's not asking for market value, especially for a Cy Young Award winner. So that's why I say there's got to be something else that we don't know about, some kind of bad blood, because I don't know, maybe he climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. I don't know what they're pissed off about, but it just seems that when you talk about $3 million, that's petty cash
for them,
basically, for a baseball team. It's not a lot.
Could it also, the other aspect that I look into, maybe I'm looking too deep, but if I'm another player and I'm on a team and I'm considering going to the New York Mets, and I see what they do to their players year in and year out. I mean, this isn't the first time we've heard of these kinds of shenanigans, let's say. And, I might be hesitant to go to that organization, wondering, hey, what's going to happen when I'm at the end of my contract? Are they going to do this to me? And I don't know, man. I think the money that they're talking, and because they didn't get the interest, I think it would probably be a smarter move to keep the guy for image, for stability of your pitching staff, all of those reasons.
Yeah, well, I mean, you mentioned about somebody not wanting to go to the Mets, but basically, if you trade Dickey, whoever you trade him for has got no choice. If they don't have a no trade contract, a no trade clause in their contract, then you're getting traded. I mean, if you're a free agent, that's one thing. You want to say, okay, I'm not going to the Mets because of what they do and blah blah blah. But if it's a trade, you have no choice. And as far as the prospect that they're looking at for the Blue Jays, it's a 23-year-old catcher, and I mean he's good. He had 16 home runs. He batted .333 in AAA last year for Toronto. He did tear his PCL, kind of like an ACL in your knee. He was doing well until he had that injury, so that concerns me a little bit, especially because he's a catcher. Unless they're thinking about making him an outfielder, but again, that's like another disaster that only the Mets could do.
Yeah.
If they can't trade him, and if they don't trade him for something that's I'm not saying better quality, but at least equal quality, one major league ready player for another, then listen, you go into the season with him, and then maybe by the trade deadline, July 31st, see who needs a pitcher, and talk to them then. Maybe they'll be a little bit more desperate then. But I don't see him finishing the year. He might start the year as a Met. I don't see him finishing the year. I'm just saying. I'm throwing it out there. I'm thinking he gets traded by the weekend.
Wow. Well, the
That's
Mets.
just my thought.
There's been a lot of activity in Major League Baseball. A couple of signings. Josh Hamilton is going to the going to the Angels. What's your thoughts on that?
That's a potent lineup. I mean, look at their number one. They got Trout leading off, and you got Pujols batting third, and you got Josh Hamilton batting fourth, and Scioscia's still the manager, and you can't go wrong there. He's probably the best skipper in baseball. And listen, the Angels, they didn't make the playoffs last year. They actually haven't made the playoffs in 3 years, but they were close. They made a run, and then they just kind of tailed off a little bit. But it just makes them stronger. I mean, everybody's concerned about Hamilton going off the deep end, and resorting back to the demons that he once had. But listen, you take a chance, and the guy's proven he's a heck of a hitter. They didn't go any more than 5 years. They went 5 years, which I thought is a good deal for both, because nobody was going to go 7 years. I'm sure he wanted something more than 5, but I don't think anybody was willing to go anything more than that, because you see nowadays how these contracts, you go 7, 8, 10 years, and they're not worth it. I mean, Alex Rodriguez, case in point. So it just makes them that much more dangerous, especially when they play the Yankees, because they've always had the Yankees number when they play each other.
Yeah, the Yankees. The Angels do. They do seem that they have, and Toronto too at times have played the Yankees well. Shane Victorino just signed a almost $40 million deal with the Red Sox. They're keeping him around. What's your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I thought they kind of overpaid for Victorino, but listen, I mean they got money to spend right now because they dumped so much on the Dodgers. Speaking of spending money, my goodness.
They better win next year, man.
Wow.
Or Magic Johnson isn't going to be smiling. He's part of that ownership team now, right? Isn't he?
Yeah, Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
In the past, in less than a year, combined contracts, they have signed contracts totaling $561 million.
Oh my God!
In less than a year. I mean, they have 8 pitchers that are starting pitchers. I mean, they have room to trade. That you can get rid of Ted Lilly, you can get rid of Chris Capuano. I mean, they have people that you want this guy, you want that. It's amazing. The money. I mean, it's like drunken sailors in a cat house. They're just throwing their money around.
That's in today's world, in today's baseball world. What would you rather be? Wouldn't you rather be in that position?
I don't like it. Look, I'd be a hypocrite if I said I like big spending, because I couldn't stand when the Yankees did it, and they were just buying their way in. I'm not saying they bought their way to a World Series, but they bought their way to, playoffs, winning divisions by spending the money. It does help. And it just, as a Met fan, it just pissed me off every year after year after year. And listen, I like the Dodgers. I'm not a big fan like my dad is, because he was a Brooklyn Dodger fan. But I still follow them. I keep an eye on them because once the Mets are done by July, I got somebody to root for.
Usually by April 30th, the Mets are out of it.
Yeah, this year was July. They kind of gave us until football started.
No, they gave you a chance to put the whammy on them at the All-Star break.
Exactly. So I kind of follow the Dodgers, but it's too much. It's gross. It's obsessive. I don't like it. I mean, I like teams that I mean, I can understand spending, but I mean, $500 million in 11 months.
I know.
I mean, that's crazy, man. And I mean, it's a good team. I mean, they got an excellent pitching staff.
Yeah, I love the Dodgers. I like the Dodgers, but I agree with you. I like seeing those teams like the Orioles and the A's come out of nowhere with no money and basically finish well.
Yeah, and like I was saying, that this pitching staff between Clayton Kershaw, who was runner up to the Cy Young, then you got Chad Billingsley, you just signed Zach Greinke, and then you got this kid from Korea, who was a phenomenal pitcher in Korea. I mean, this guy was a strikeout artist. He led the league in strikeouts. I think 6 out of 7 years he pitched there. He's only 25 years old. He's a lefty. Like I said, they're just spending like drunken sailors, and they still have pitchers to trade. So who knows? Maybe there'll be a trade with the Mets because, like I said, I think the Mets are going to get rid of Dickey. And I wouldn't mind. You know what? I wouldn't mind seeing us pick up Ted Lilly or get back Chris Capuano.
I was just going to say Chris Capuano. We had him.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to get him back. I mean, it's not like he's owed a ton of money. I think he's only making about $5 or $6 million this year. So why not? Because I really do think that Dickey will be gone soon.
Well, the Mets have a tendency of doing that. Just like last year, they traded Angel Pagan for Andres Torres, and now Torres is back with the Giants, and he's going to be playing alongside Pagan. So
look at you see Pagan's crazy contract, $40 million, really? I think it's the market right now. They're just overpaying for these players. I mean, it's high. It's really high.
Well, I liked him as a Met, and you know, they brought him on. He reminded me of him and a guy like Andy Chavez. What was it? Andy Chavez. Andy Chavez. You know, that not superstar players, and I agree with you. Pagan shouldn't be playing for that much money, but those were the kinds of guys I like on my team. You know, to be able to, you know, insert them here and there, and I would have kept those kinds of guys, but the Mets are so quick to get rid of them, and then they end up with nothing. You know.
Yeah, I mean, especially now because our outfield is terrible. It's depleted. I mean, listen, Sandy Alston still has a lot of work to do. Here's the thing about Sandy is that, you know, you're in New York now. I mean, this fan base, it's not like, you know, where he came from. This fan base is we want it now. I mean, we're so tired of hearing this thing about 2014. We want to be competitive in 2013. Give us something. Do the right thing. If you're going to trade Dickey, like I said, get somebody that could step in and play, because I don't want to prospect and who doesn't pan out. It's just we've had enough. We're angry as you know, Met fans, and you know, and there's no guarantee that this 2014 is going to turn out great. I mean, they're counting on Wheeler being a stud pitcher, and from what I hear and what I've seen, he has the goods.
Yeah, they said Pelfrey. They said Pelfrey was going to be a stud pitcher too.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
I mean, that's every year after year, they kept saying, "Oh, well, he's got the stuff, and he still hasn't performed."
Yeah, now you don't even hear his name mentioned. You know, the problem is that I don't buy into that BS from a GM that says, no, our year is such and such. You know, so basically what he's saying, and we'll get to some stupid things that coaches say in the NFL in a little bit. But what he's saying is, you know, basically, hey, don't buy a ticket. Don't come and see us in 2013 because we're not going to be fielding a good team. That's the way the fans are going to take it. I bet you their attendance is at an all-time low next year.
Probably. But, you know, that's not what the Wilpons are saying. The Wilpons are saying, well, we're going to be competitive. Come out. We got a good starting pitching staff. We signed David Wright. You know, they're going to see everything to put the fannies in the seats.
Yeah, well, they better tell Sandy to shut up.
When you're smart and you look at it, I mean, you don't even have to be smart. You know, you don't have to be baseball savvy to just look at this team and say, I can't see them competing.
Yeah, well, you know, they got to tell their GM to keep his mouth shut. What do you think about the $5 million two-year deal that Ty Winnington signed with the Cardinals?
That's not bad. I mean, for his age, and it's not a lot of money. And he's one of those players that you talk about. You know, scrappy, can come off the bench, can play any position. You know, he's a good utility guy. Good, you know, a good guy to take, you know, off the bench. So,
I was just going to say,
smart deal.
A smart deal. 2 years, no long-term thing, an affordable price, a bench-type player that can start and perform well, and you're just stockpiling another player on a team that went far into the playoffs and a team that is probably going to be there again next year. The reason why I bring up that isn't because I'm a Winnington fan or, as a matter of fact, I hate the Cardinals, but you know, just to reiterate what we're talking about, the Mets, their lack of signing anyone. They haven't signed anyone. You look across the river and look at the Yankees. You know, they just signed Eucalyptus. That's a done deal. It looks like they're going to get Suzuki signed. You know, what's your thoughts on all of that?
I think as of this morning, they did sign Suzuki.
Okay,
so,
good.
He's locked in for 2 years. You know, I was kind of surprised about Eucalyptus. He turned down 2 years at $18 million to play with you know, his former coach Terry Francona over in Cleveland. I think he felt that the Yankees give him a better chance to get back to the World Series, and that's why he took the Yankee deal.
Plus, they gave him $12 million for 1 year, though.
$12 million for 1 year, but you don't know if he's going to make $12 million for the next year. For me personally, if that was me, and I know I had a good relationship with my coach, and I'm making 18 for 2, I'm going to at least be active for 2 years. I know I'm getting the position at third base, whereas here I'm filling in for somebody.
Right.
And if and when he comes back, because there's no guarantee that he's going to come back in mid-season like everybody says, then what? Then you're going to be disgruntled and sit on the bench and let Alex, start at third base and let him play, 5 games every week and you play 1 or 2. So, if that's what he wants, well, he got it. I personally, my competitive nature, I want to play. And if I know I could be the starting, third baseman and I have 2 years under my coach in Cleveland, that's what I'm taking. So I was a bit surprised by it. And we'll see if and when Alex comes back, and we'll see what kind of attitude he has then, and see how Girardi deals with it.
I think Cleveland probably has a better shot at making it to the World Series next year than the Yankees do. And the reason why I say that is because Cleveland is a young team. They were playing well, just to hang around last year. And the Yankees, we've talked about it for the last couple of weeks. Despite the Yankees signing some players, veteran players and stuff, this is an old team, Mike. Derek Jeter is Derek Jeter. He's a freak, okay? We just mentioned A-Rod is going to be missing half the season minimally at third base. They signed Mariano Rivera. He's an ancient closer. They have Andy Pettitte, who battled some age-type injuries this year. He signed for another year. The longevity of him and how he can go through a year at his age is questionable. I don't know. I think the Yankees will be lucky next year to even be close of getting into playoffs. I don't even think they get in next year, as a matter of fact.
Well, yeah, they're an older team, but if everybody performs like they did last year and stay healthy, I mean, they're going to be competitive. You don't know how Rivera's going to pitch after coming off, his injury. Don't forget his injury wasn't with his arm, it was with his leg. And I think it was the leg that he pushes off on. So
yeah,
there is, obviously concern.
But he's still 41 years old.
He's 41 years old, but when he was pitching last year at 40, he was still lights out, wasn't he?
Yeah, but it was
you know what he's throwing. He's throwing the cutter. I'm throwing the cutter. You got a big neon sign above my head. I'm throwing the cutter, and people still can't hit it.
True.
He throws it like nobody else.
True.
So, it's not the velocity. So he loses a mile per hour off his velocity. It's the pitch, and it's where he puts it. His placement of that pitch is unbelievable, and it just does create. Look how many bats the guy breaks. I mean, I can't see him just tailing off and being awful. As far as Jeter, like you said, I mean, the guy's a freak. He works hard. He's a great hitter. Everybody else, again, just because you're old doesn't mean you can't do it. And the only person on that team that, if I'm a Yankee fan, I'm really concerned about is Rodriguez. Because his body's just breaking down. And I think it definitely has to do with the performance-enhancing drugs that he took. As a matter of fact, I think at his press conference he says, he would shoot me in the hip and I would shoot him in the hip and blah, 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 blah. Well, if you're getting shot up in the hip, this is your second hip replacement. Right. So it definitely had some kind of an effect. And they're stuck with this guy. They're stuck with him. Unless they want to eat 3/4 of his salary, they're stuck with him. So, like I said, it couldn't happen to a greater team. I'm so happy that they're stuck until 2017, paying this guy $25 to $30 million a year for the next 5 years. It's great.
Well, what's even better is they just got hit with almost $19 million luxury tax. They ended up finishing slightly under $222 million for their payroll this year. Amazing when you think about it. We were even talking last week that they weren't even the tops anymore. I guess the brothers really do want to shave that down, huh?
Well, there's no doubt about it. And yeah, they paid over $220. That's including the $18 million luxury tax. I think their payroll was around $202 million. But I think the number. The number, the luxury number was 178. So anything over 178 million, you had to pay your luxury tax. And I think they were the only ones that had to pay. Everybody else just fell short of that number.
107. It was 178 million, and the next team that was close was the Angels, and they had 176.7 million. And then Philly, it shocked me. They were the next one after that. Actually, the Dodgers and the Red Sox, they both had to pay a luxury tax too, around $47,000 each. But the teams that fell underneath just slightly was the Angels at 176.7 and the Philadelphia Phillies, which kind of surprised me a little bit. I didn't realize that their payroll was that high, almost 175. But according to the figures I'm looking at, they said that. They were taxed on $222 million. The Yankees.
Huh? I thought their payroll was 202, but I mean I could be wrong on that. And I thought the tax added to that made it 225 million. But again, I could be wrong. I thought it was a little different. That being said, yeah, the magic number was 178. They were well above it. They've paid over 220 million in the past decade since they put in this luxury tax, and the brothers Steinbrenners are on hellbent on not paying any more luxury tax, and that's why they told Cashman that next year after the end of the 2013 season, I think the magic number is 189. So they definitely want to get it 189 or below because he doesn't want to spend it.
Yeah.
So he basically came out. Hal said, "Look, I'm a financial geek, and that's what I do. I make money, and he's going to spend, but Yankee fans have to realize he is not his father, and it's not all about the Yankees like George, he was. George was a great owner. He everything. It was the Yankees come first, and his sons aren't like that. They want to get below that magic number, and they're gonna." They will. They will be. I guarantee at the end of this season, by 2014, they will be at 189 or below.
Well, when the brothers get up to the big guy and they join their pops again someday, he's going to beat their asses. I'll tell you that.
You ain't kidding.
Hey, one last thing I want to talk about baseball. Anibal Sanchez just closed a deal, 5-year deal with the Detroit Tigers. And one of the reasons why I want to bring him up is that Anibal Sanchez was a guy that was with the Florida Marlins, Miami Marlins now, and was traded this season. And he was supposed to be part of that formula to make the Marlins a championship quality team. And I actually have a personal connection with this, so I'm going to fill you in, break some little news right now, Mikey. Randy St. Clair was the pitching coach, and he happens to be a close friend of mine. I actually coached his kids in baseball when they were growing up. But he was the pitching coach for the Marlins. They cleaned house. They got rid of all the players and coaching staff, as we all heard. And Randy informed me over the weekend that they will probably be officially announcing this on Monday. So anybody listening or watching the shows hearing it first, Randy St. Clair just signed with the New York Mets. He was hoping to follow Sanchez, who gives him a lot of credit for helping him because he wanted to, go with him and go with some of the other young pitchers. But I guess he signed a deal with the Mets to play on their AAA team, which used to be in Buffalo and is now moving out in Vegas, man. What's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, you know him a lot better than I do. I mean, he didn't have much of a major league career, if I'm correct.
He was up and down,
pitching wise,
up
but
and down.
He was a good, he's a good pitching coach. I mean, I think he was with the Expos before he was with the Expos and the Nationals, right? Before he was with the Marlins.
Yeah. He was with the Washington Nationals for a while. He was also with the Blue Jays for a while. He played. He's got a World Series ring. He played.
Atlanta.
He played for Atlanta.
That's right.
And I think he even got one. Whether he was up or not from AAA, he bounced back and forth from AAA with the Blue Jays too. The year they won.
The Blue Jays won, I believe, in '94.
I think he was part of that team then too. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's great. I mean, his friend of yours. Hopefully, we can get him on the show. That'd be great.
Well, we'll definitely get him on the show. He's
and that's news to me that the Mets farm team is now. I mean, I guess you said they're going to Vegas, so they're no longer the Buffalo Bison.
Right, and when they told me, I said the same thing. I'm like, really? I didn't know they moved the team. Not only did they move the team, they're already, they're already there. They're already getting ready for spring training, practically. But
yeah, I mean, I see them when they're in Charlotte, since there's no Major League Baseball team in the state. Go to a lot of Charlotte night games, and especially when the Bisons are in town. I definitely try to catch a game or two.
Well, I got news for you. The minor league baseball systems and the independent leagues are actually a better value for just people that love to go to live events and not get not need to take out a mortgage on the house just to buy a ticket and a hot dog and a beer or something. So you go to these independent or minor league games and it's still affordable, and I think that's why they're doing so well. I mean, the team that plays in Dutchess County, the Rays affiliate, is the Renegades, the Hudson Valley Renegades. They have a beautiful little stadium in Dutchess County. The reason why I mention it is because they sell out. You can't get a ticket. You have to go and try and scalp a ticket to get to it. And this is a single A team. They got 3,800 people in the stands for every single home game. That's amazing when you really come down and look at it carefully.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. I mean, going to a minor league game, if you like baseball, you're still out, outside, nice weather, having your hot dog, and you're paying $5.
Exactly.
When you go to a Charlotte Knights game, you pay $5, and the beauty of it is that you sit anywhere you want. So if I say, I'm going to sit behind home plate for the first 2 innings, and you watch that ball coming in there, 85, 90 miles an hour, I'm going to go sit in the outfield. You can go anywhere you want. It's great.
I love it.
It's great.
I used to be an assistant. There was an independent league here. Now they call it the CAM American League. It used to be called the Northern League. And I was the assistant GM for our team, for the Glens Falls Lumberjacks. We actually, I was with the team when we won the championship, our version of the World Series. I was with the team a few years. And we used to sell for $40, all right, for $40, a family of four. It was called the Family 4-Pack. For four, you'd get 4 tickets to get in. You'd get 4 vouchers for 4 hot dogs, 4 sodas, and 4 programs for $40.
You can't beat that.
You can't beat that. You can't beat it. You're taking your kid. You got a couple of kids. You take your kids to the game. Just like you said, exactly like you said. You could sit wherever you want. I'm sick of sitting behind home plate. I think I'm going to sit along the first base line now. I think I'm going to go along the third base line. Every seat is a good seat, and the level of play was good, man. It was exciting, and it's a shame. It's a shame that professional sports have done this, and it's not by accident. They've all done it. It's not just baseball; it's football as well. They don't want. I don't think they want the families and the regular fans anymore. It's all become corporate.
Yeah, it's all about money. I mean, the cheapest ticket for football, at least here, at the Panther games, is like $48, and that's in nosebleed section.
You can't even get that for the Jets.
What's the cheapest ticket for the Jets now?
I think it's 100 and something.
That's just crazy.
That's
just nuts.
Well, now if you wait for the game to start, you could get tickets for literally $1 on StubHub and stuff. I mean, the Jets are insane. For a team that had a 30-year waiting list, you could get tickets right now if you want. I mean, I had season tickets for 30 years. They keep calling me still. But anyway, let's talk a little about boxing real quick. Larry Merchant, a guy that he's a New Yorker, so hey, for anybody that thinks I'm just throwing in boxing here, it's a New York theme. Larry Merchant is from New York, was born in New York, and was with a longtime HBO analyst. I used to like him. I thought his time has come and gone. I thought they dragged him on a little too much. He's 81 years old. He will be making his last, and I do mean last, so they say, appearance on HBO tonight. They had tried to get rid of him 2 years ago, Mikey, but the fans actually went crazy. They loved him at the time, and they re-upped his contract for 2 more years. He's 81 years old. What's your thoughts on Larry Merchant, man?
I agree with you. I thought his time has come and gone a couple of years ago, and I'm surprised to hear that the fans are up in arms saying, "Oh no, you can't get rid of Larry."
They were.
Listen, he's been a staple in for HBO boxing, 35 years, like you said. I didn't dislike Larry. I thought he rambled on a little bit too much, especially later on in the years. The one thing that I'll always remember about Larry Merchant is when he said to Floyd, "If I was 50 years younger, I'd kick your ass."
Yeah, that was recent, and that wasn't even when he was drunk.
That's what's going to stick out in my mind.
There was
going to stick out in my mind about Larry.
There was a time when Larry was having a few drinks during the broadcast, and there was another issue that he almost got into a fist fight with somebody doing an interview. So he's been exciting. He's been exciting. But one of the things I think I'll remember that too. But the thing I remember the most, Will remember the most, because I agreed with him, which is something that wasn't the norm for me. I never liked him, and the reason why wasn't anything other than okay. And I said this on my show yesterday. Not that boxing fans, because I'm included. Not that I think boxing fans are dumb. I don't think they're dumb, and I don't think that they're not highly intelligent or anything like that. However, when you think of boxing, the tone you think of is Dems and Does, and we're gonna on 33rd Street, and I mean that's just the nature of boxing. When I think of boxing, I'm thinking of Bert Sugar talking, or Howard Cosell or something. And it's down to earth. It's a blue collar sport, And Larry Merchant, his style was to make it like he was talking about, a literary masterpiece. He was talking about War and Peace or something, and he would try.
He was almost Shakespearean.
Yeah, exactly.
He
That's perfect.
To give an example or to explain his thoughts. It was totally opposite of the blue collar,
right? And
he brought that almost Shakespearean like attitude.
Great
to the sport.
Great description, Shakespearean, and I didn't think it fit. That was my whole point. I didn't think it fit, because sometimes a fighter, he's asking this intelligent question, and the fighter looks at him like, huh, what? And they got a whisper in his ear. They want to know how you feel about the win. Oh, that. But the thing I'm going to remember the most about him, I think, was the way he described the guy I can't stand the most in boxing, Floyd Mayweather, when he knocked out Cruz. Victor Cruz. Victor Ortiz. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of.
You're thinking of your Giants.
I'm thinking of Santa Cruz, who's fighting tonight. But Victor Ortiz. When he knocked out Victor Ortiz, he described that, which I thought was a travesty. I thought that, and again, that Joe Cortez should be shot. He should be hung up and shot, let alone be put in the Hall of Fame. But he referred to that punch as a legal sucker punch, and that was probably the most agreed upon thing that I've ever agreed with Larry Merchant on. I don't even know what the hell word I just used, but I agreed with him on that one, man. A legal sucker punch was the best description he could have come up with, I thought.
Basically that's exactly what it was. It was a legal sucker punch. And, now that that's in the past and you have time to think about it, I was pissed off about that. I mean, I was pissed off at Floyd. I was even more pissed off, like you said, at Cortez, because he didn't handle it properly.
He lost control.
When you take your hands and you tell your boxers to box, you don't turn to the timekeeper.
But he never said to box.
Well, no, he if you watch the video, he did take his hands and he motioned them to fight. He said something and he motioned them to fight.
He was actually what I saw was that they were still standing. First of all, you're supposed to send them to the neutral corner. That's first of all.
Exactly.
So he lost control there. They both should have been in the neutral corner. Then he went and he was supposed to be signaling to the timekeeper to start the clock again because he had stopped the clock, right? And he did it all. He had his arm almost on one of the fighters, I think, and he leaned over and he's talking to the timekeeper, and that's when the punch occurred, And I thought it was a totally loss of control. And as a matter of fact, everybody always throws in my face, oh, what did you expect him to do? It was a illegal punch. Ortiz launched himself at him. And I agree. He should have been disqualified on the spot. That's another failure by Joe Cortez. He should have disqualified Victor Ortiz right then. When you launch yourself head first, no warning, no point deduction, you're disqualified. We would have never seen it, and we could have given all the accolades that I was prepared to give to Floyd Mayweather because he looked fantastic in that fight. He started coming on after the second round, and it just looked so unlike Floyd. But yet all I got to talk about was that sucker punch, in my opinion.
Well, I agree that if he would have disqualified Victor Ortiz on the spot, which was the right call, which is what he should have done, I wouldn't have had a problem with it. The fact that he lost control of the fight. Now, like I said, if you watch, it's on YouTube. It's a good actually YouTube video of this. You do see him telling the guys to come together to box. At that point in time, that's when he turns away from the action and he's talking to the timekeeper. Like you said, tell him to go to a neutral corner, talk to the timekeeper, get everything straight, tell him to box, and your focus should be on the fighters. He did just the opposite. That being said, I put myself – you and I agree 100% on Floyd. You respect his talents in the ring, but you don't like him as the person. And you watch a Floyd Mayweather fight. If you don't like Floyd, you watch him just to see him get his ass kicked, hopefully get his ass kicked. And I can't stand the guy. However, that being said, I put myself in his shoes, and I said, if somebody's going to launch their head into my lip and try to knock me out with their head, I don't care how many people bought pay-per-views at that time. I'm pissed. He tried to hit me with his head. And if somebody did that to me in the ring, I've been in the ring as an amateur, but I've been in the ring. If somebody tried to do that to me, I have tunnel vision at this point. I want to kill this guy. And if the referee tells me box and he loses control, he doesn't look away, I'm hitting the guy. So it was legal, and it was a legal punch. I was pissed off at the time because my $70 went out the window. I was watching the fight and I was enjoying it. That's what pissed me off about it. But you know what? If somebody did that to you and tried to hurt you with their head, you'd be pissed off too and do whatever you had to do.
I agree with that, and I wouldn't have held it against him if he even did something illegal to Ortiz. But the way I saw it, and that clip, I've seen some clips on YouTube, but a lot of times clips on YouTube, especially when they're submitted privately, you never really know, and HBO does not submit the actual HBO footage. I know somebody recorded it, but you never know what they did. I watched that fight 100 times, and I was analyzing exactly that scene, and I never saw where he actually told them to go ahead. He kind of did, but it wasn't definitive enough. And again, if you watch other fights, and a good referee, regardless of what happens, a mouthpiece drops out, a guy slips and falls, something there's a foreign object in the ring that came from a fan or something. A referee will always stop the action, send them to a neutral corner, direct them to the neutral corner, take control, pick up the mouthpiece, wipe off the glove, you throw out the beer cup or whatever's in there, and then go back to the timekeeper, go time, and then wave the two fighters on. I mean, that's the protocol. And here's a guy that Joe Cortez, that's a Hall of Famer, that they actually have as part of a Showtime broadcast. Hey, Joe, what's your thoughts? I can't even understand what he's saying. He's the stupidest guy on the planet. I've learned to despise him with some. Please, I don't even want to get into it because it's so nerve-wracking. But let's talk briefly. Manny Pacquiao, you were great. You came on our post-fight show, but Manny Pacquiao against Juan Manuel Marquez, the fourth fight. Truthfully, didn't even want to see the fourth fight. I thought it was just going to be the same old, and instead we got treated to not only was it a fantastic, entertaining fight, but a devastating knockout. And now the big question, and not Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao got knocked out. Now the big question is there going to be a fifth fight? A lot of people want it. What's your thoughts?
I was one of those people who didn't want to see a fourth fight. I said, you know what? Been there, done that. Move on. I'm tired of controversy. I'm tired of Juan Manuel Marquez and Nacho Beristain saying we won all three fights. I didn't want to hear it anymore. I mean, the fights were entertaining. They were. And I wanted to move on. That being said, I want to see a fifth fight. Okay, this is that now has gotten me intrigued, and I think it's intrigued a lot more fans. Now they want to see that fifth fight because of two things. Obviously, one of the speculation that Juan Manuel was not a clean fighter, even though yesterday the tests came back from Nevada.
But they weren't testing for what he could have been
exactly.
on.
They did urine tests. They do not test for blood. I mean, listen, they're not gonna catch anything. The Nevada Athletic Commission couldn't catch flies if it was a frog. I mean, it's a farce. And you know as well as I do that Angel Hernandez, he knows exactly what they're testing for, and if they're not testing for drug A, B, and C, well, you know what? If they're not going to test for it, hey, why not give it to them? Listen. I'm one of those guys that's going to say I don't feel it was natural. I just don't. Everybody says, "Oh, what about Manny?" Well, you know what? Manny has always been shredded. Ever since he was coming up in 1995, 96, he's always been cut, defined. He's always been that way.
But he didn't have muscles in his eyelids.
No, come on, he doesn't have muscles. Listen, didn't Robert the Ghost Guerrero just jump up 2 weight classes? I mean, people jump up. I mean, he's always been a cut, well-defined fighter. And Juan Manuel Marquez he never had that body type. I mean, he had the same kind of body type as Juan Baby Bull Diaz, basically. Well, he never had that.
Well, my point is that you're innocent until proven guilty. He's never had a history of it. We can't assume it. If he came out and they tested for it, he claims that his next fight will be Olympic-style blood testing. But, that's a whole nother story because there's 2 companies that do it, and one doesn't report low doses. The other one does. So, I mean, that's a whole thing. And it's funny you mentioned Angel Hernandez. He's a big player in boxing right now with as far as his physical strength conditioning guy. And the other guy on the other side of the team, so to speak, is Victor Conti. So, I mean, come on, man. You got these 2 guys that, know all about the ins and outs of PEDs. And they actually asked them, like their advice. Victor Conti is a guy, what do you think? And he's like, oh, I'm the good guy now. I'm wearing the white cowboy hat. Yeah, right. He just knows how to beat the system.
Yeah, Conti also came out and said that he thought that Marquez was on something. I mean, he came right out and said it.
Listen,
I mean, like they were having like a Twitter war between him and Hernandez.
Listen, we were talking about it at the post-fight. Both fighters were landing some shots. Every time, and Juan Manuel Marquez was not that fast. He wasn't landing half as many shots as Manny, but every time he landed a shot on Manny, it staggered Manny. Manny hit him so many times that you couldn't even his mother didn't recognize him after that fight, Juan Manuel Marquez. He was disfigured. He didn't even, between the broken nose and all the swelling under his eyes, he didn't even look like himself, but not once. Even the knockdown wasn't one that looked like it hurt him. It looked like he caught him off balance. I mean, the guy looked like he could have, swung for the fences with a baseball bat at his head and it wouldn't have affected him. So, with that said, do I think maybe? I don't know. I just don't want to point fingers. If they find out, then that's a different story. But right now, I say I agree with you. Let's see a 5th one.
Yeah, I mean, people were saying that, how come, all of a sudden, Juan Manuel Marquez, all of a sudden he's able to knock down Manny Pacquiao. Now, I said before the fight, you and I on doing our show, I actually picked Juan Manuel to win by decision, and I said Manny will see the canvas, which he did. The first punch, I was kind of surprised because it was like a looping punch. I was surprised that Manny didn't see that. Hit him right on the side of the head. He went down like a flash knockdown, came back up. But, I'm not going to take anything away from the knockout punch because, Manny, he made a mistake. He made a huge mistake. He came in with his hands down. You saw him rocking back and forth. Should I come in? Should I go in? Should I stay out? He was hesitant. And if you watch it, Juan Manuel was just looking, come on in, come on in, come on in. Soon as Manny took that step in, his right hand was down, and Juan Manuel came right over and threw the perfect punch. Now, is steroids going to make this guy throw the perfect punch? No, it's not. The punch was so close to Manny. It was like a 6-inch punch, and he had the rest of the distance to go. That's why it was so devastating. It wasn't like a tail end of a punch. It was so close. All that power was right into his chin. And don't forget what Manny said. I didn't see it. So, and that's always the punch that knocks you out, is the punch you don't see.
Yeah. Plus, he was, off his feet. He's got a tendency to deliver his punches, from not planted securely on the canvas. He was off his feet. So it was a perfect punch, and either one of them could have went down. And truthfully, I think that I thought they both should retire. I said that night, but if they do fight a fifth time, what's better than having a fifth fight? So
yeah, I guess like right after the fight, you always talk about should these guys hang it up? But you know what? Manny made one mistake that night. He made one.
Oh, I had him winning.
Mistake.
I had him up by 3 points going into that round.
Oh, I didn't have him up that much. I had him up 47-46.
I had 48-45.
I was about to give him the 6th round.
No,
I was about to give him the 6th.
He won the round. He had him in all kinds of trouble. He battered him in the 5th, and then the 6th he picked up right where he left off. And up until that shot, he was winning the round. I was saying the exact words coming out of my mouth because I was kind of pulling for Manny. I said, come on, Manny, finish him off. He had him in all kinds of trouble. I'm surprised I didn't even, say that the ropes kept Manuel up. But then next thing you know, the fight's over. So
yeah,
anyway.
I mean, if, like I said, I have my speculations. And if, in fact, that he was on something that the Nevada Athletic Commission does not test for, that whatever if he was on, I'm not going to, like I said, point fingers. I have my own opinion, but there are different kinds of steroids, and there are steroids that actually give you energy, and I think if he was on something, that he was able to take those punches a lot better. I mean, he was getting hit with some shots, and he wasn't budging. And the only knockdown, which was in the 5th round of Juan Manuel. It was mostly that he was off balance,
right,
if you look at it again. And the shot that really kind of, hurt him, I was going to say, or was a more effective shot, was towards the end of that round, but he didn't go down. Like I said, the only knockdown was kind of an off balance kind of thing. But broken nose. I mean, how much longer could he have sustained those punches with that broken nose? I don't think much longer. I'm telling you, he was disfigured. If you're on something, maybe you can sustain it a little bit longer. That's my problem.
Right. No, I hear you.
That's what bothers me, is because I think, like I said, that's just my opinion, and it's going to give a fighter more energy, more capacity for carrying oxygen, and to staying, to having that energy, to being able to sustain stuff like that. Where if you're totally clean, those punches are going to have more of an effect on you, and that energy level is going to wear down. So that's when someone says to me, well, where do you think that if he is not a clean fighter, where do you think these things helped him? That's where I think helped him in sustaining those punches and not letting it affect his energy level.
Well, I got the best email from a listener on the whole thing. He says, Juan Manuel Marquez, he used to prepare, he used to drink his own urine, so finally he stopped drinking his own piss, and he found somebody that could give him something that really worked for him. So,
there you go.
Right.
I mean, like I said, I don't care. I don't care that the test came back negative yesterday because, again, Hernandez knows exactly what they're testing for in that urine, and there's so many other things that you could give a fighter that you shouldn't be giving a fighter, and he knows the ins and outs. I mean, he's not stupid. So the speculation looms, and because of that, yeah, you want to see a fifth fight, and Manny, you take away that one vital mistake. He should have won that fight. He really should have. And I'm tired of all the Manny haters. I mean, I listen to your show a lot, as you know, and people seem to forget that he had fights prior to the Oscar De La Hoya fight. Every time you hear about Manny, you hear about all the people complain, and you hear about fights from Oscar De La Hoya on. No one ever talks about Marco Antonio Barrera and Eric Morales. No one ever talks about that.
No,
they only want to talk about the negative.
Yeah, but the thing that bothers me, and you just touched the nerve, everybody always complains that a Monday morning quarterback, Oscar De La Hoya looked drained. Oh, he forces people to fight at a different weight. Oh, he does this, he does that. Hey, dude, don't sign the friggin' contract. He doesn't force anybody. The deal is, hey, this is what we'll fight you at. We'll pay you this much. This is the weight. Do you want it or not? Yeah, I want it. Okay, you sign the paper. End of story. You agreeing to it. To have everybody say, hey, yeah, he won it, but, he made them come down and weight, or they had a catch weight, which I'm not a fan of catch weights, but my point is you sign a contract, you sign a contract. The same thing happens in football. Your boy Revis, he signs a contract. Everything's all cool. He finds out somebody makes $1 more than him. Now he wants to renegotiate. Wait a minute. You already signed a deal. You get to renegotiate at the end of the contract. The guy playing the line gets mad because the guy playing next to him all of a sudden is making more money than him 2 years into a 5-year contract, and he wants to redo his. It's crazy. The time for negotiating is before you sign the friggin' paper. End of story. When you sign the paper, it's a contract. Anyway, let's talk.
And these guys, and listen, they signed the contract knowing they can make that weight. Do you think Oscar would have signed the contract saying you have to get down to 130 pounds? No, of course not.
No.
147? I could do 147. Okay, fine. Sign the contract.
Yeah, well, you know
that's
what?
That's the bottom line.
And they all complain about it. It's just sickening. And
it is, especially these Mayweather lovers, because you know what? Also keep in mind, listen, Manny was never known to be a defensive fighter. Okay, Manny's best defense was his offense. Okay, in his younger days when he was, 27, 28, 29 years old, his best defense was his whirlwind offense because it was constant pressure. And if he would have fought Mayweather back when they were both, 5 years younger, that was going to give Floyd the biggest challenge. And now that speed and he's lost a little bit. I mean, it happens. So if he has no defense, he's not your traditional counterpuncher. He has no defense whatsoever. So it's styles make fights, and if you had to match those two now, listen, Floyd's a smart fighter. Bottom line, I can't stand him as a person, but he would never make that mistake that Manny made against Juan Manuel because he's too cautious. Okay, Manny Pacquiao was the most entertaining fighter in the past 8 years. He's number one as far as an entertaining fighter. He goes out there because he tries to knock the guy out, and it's all offense. Okay, he's never going to be the same kind of fighter that Marquez is or that Floyd is. And people they got to stop doing comparisons. Okay, he is what he is, and he's an offensive fighter. And once the age catches up to you, well, he can't reinvent himself. No. He's not going to be Floyd. He's not going to be Marquez. But enough with these people. I mean, I get so tired of hearing the same old song and dance.
I can't stand Mayweather. Can't stand him. Don't even like talking about him. And I wish nothing. I won't even say on the air what I really wish happens to the guy personally. But I will say this. You make a great point about Manny and offensive-minded. For people that don't understand, look at it this way. And both are great, okay? And Floyd's, his ability, just like we admit, is great. His defensive skill is great. His counterpunching ability, great. Smart, slickster, all those things. All those accolades you gave Manny about being offensive, all true. And here's a way to compare it. What kind of a baseball game would you rather watch? The home run game, the guy belting home runs all day, or the guy that's pitching a no-hitter? Now I'm a pitching fan. Personally, I like to see that, but it's not an exciting game. It's there's no hits. There's not, you know what I mean? So it's not exciting. Same thing in football. Would you rather watch the guy who's grounded out and takes 4 quarters to win a 14-7 game, or do you want to see passes, Peyton Manning throwing passes down the field and exciting and all of that? So it's very relative. They're both good. They both win, but one's a different style than the other.
Exactly. You're exactly right. And it's a great analogy. And in boxing, what I like to see offensive-minded guys who want to go in for the kill. That's entertaining to me. That's why I was a big Arturo Gatti fan. And I love that. I love that style. However, that being said, I appreciate the style of of Floyd Mayweather.
Well,
it's great to watch.
I can't appreciate it because he thinks he's so great, but the other part of it is that the guy seeks out the least quality opponent of the collection he's going to pick. Listen, we could talk about this for hours and hours, and I do all the time. But Adrian Bronner is an example of a guy, at least at this stage of his career, he's only got 25 fights under his belt, but he's an example of a guy that has that defensive skill, that has the sweet science, so to speak, in terms of, the true boxing ability. But guess what? He also
goes in for the kill.
Yes, and I think that when all is said and done, he may be the answer in the near future. But let's talk a little football. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We're actually running out of time already. I just want to touch real quickly on college for a second. I know I didn't give you a chance to prepare, but the bowl games start today, and I'm actually going to pick the two bowl games for you guys today. But before I do that, Alabama, I've made no mistake that's my team, and we're talking about the Jets, and the former Alabama quarterback is the guy we both want to see behind center. But the Alabama Crimson Tide has another good quarterback. His name is A.J. McCarron. And I personally thought that he should have, been in the discussion for the Heisman, which incidentally we're going to talk about in a second. But he announced yesterday that and I'm talking about A.J. McCarron, that he is going to go back for his senior year, something that you've mentioned to me that you felt that Mark Sanchez should have done. And, McCarron consulted his coach and friends and family, and clearly he would have been drafted in the NFL, maybe not a first-round pick, but he's using college to refine his skills a little bit. I think it's a smart move. What do you think?
I do too. There's nothing wrong with getting more experience. And I think the only reason that players come out – I mean, look at Andrew Luck. I mean, after his junior year, everybody thought, oh, this guy's going pro. But you know what? He stayed. He stayed one more year, and he was like a guarantee to be a blue chipper and to be, a very, very good quarterback in the NFL, which he's proven. So I think it's a good move. Yeah. And as far as him not being considered for the Heisman, I was just as surprised as you. I mean, when you have 20+ touchdowns and 4 interceptions, I mean, come on.
He threw his first one his first one of his career in the LSU game. And I'm talking about his high school career, everything. First one in his whole career. But anyway, let's move on to the Heisman. Johnny Football gets it. I'm okay with that. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised. It's the first freshman to ever win it. I thought it was going to go to. I picked Colin Klein at Kansas State. Mm-hmm. I didn't think it was going to go to the linebacker for. Mante Tiao, whatever his name is.
I thought it was because Notre Dame connection. I figured.
Yeah, he just he wasn't the best defensive player in all of college football, but he got all the attention because of Notre Dame and the undefeated record, blah blah blah. So I'm not. I kind of thought that the whole class was weak as far as the Heisman goes.
I was surprised that they could only muster up 3 guys in New York. I mean, come on, you need 5 guys sitting at the podium. Johnny Manziel wins the Heisman. He was exciting. I wonder, I guess we're all going to get a chance to see if that is going to hinder the rest of his college career. I mean, now the expectations, the bar has been set so high for this kid. I hope it doesn't work, doesn't become counterproductive. So one last thing I want to talk about with college football, and I don't mean to rush us through here, but we got the picks. Mikey's all excited about doing the picks. He's up on me 2 games now, and we got some other news to talk about with the Jets and Giants, but bowl games start today. We got 2 bowls on, the New Mexico Bowl and the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. I love college football. I love college bowl games. When I was a kid, the bowl games were always on New Year's Day. You had New Year's Day and the day after. That's it. Now they spread them around. They start today, and we're going to have a bowl game pretty much every day through the week after New Year's. So we'll keep you up on that. New Mexico Bowl. Arizona is taking on the Nevada Wolfpack. Arizona went they're from the Pac-12. They went 7-5 this year, and they take on a Midwest Conference Nevada Wolfpack, who was also 7-5. The way the line is right now, Arizona's laying 9 points. I'm taking Nevada Wolfpack, Mikey. I like the Wolfpack in this game. I'm not taking anything away from Arizona, but Nevada's played some tough teams. They started off a real good. They had a little weak area. I'm picking them with the points. I'm going with the points here, so I'm taking Nevada plus the 9. In the famous Idaho Bowl game, the Idaho Potato Bowl game, potato chip, the Idaho Potato Chip game, Utah State is minus 10 against Toledo. Now, Toledo was 9-3 this season, playing for the MAC conference. They were a tough team, but they never impressed me. They're just Ohio, Toledo, Ohio. They're taking on Utah State, which has been making some moves in college football over the last half a dozen years. They play in the WAC. It's another big point game. Utah State minus 10 against Toledo. I think Utah State's going to win and cover, so I'm picking Utah State minus the 10. I know I just laid this one on you, so I'm not even going to ask you for your picks, unless you have your picks. You have any thoughts?
No, actually, I'm not a college guy like you. I just think, me personally, I'll watch some of the games, but what I don't like about it, and I know the system is going to change, we're going to have like a playoff system, was it next year or the year after? To wait 44 days to see who becomes the national champion, that's just to me it just loses its luster.
Plus, the guys can't be sharp,
No, you can't be. How are you sharp after 44 days of not playing?
No, I know.
It doesn't make sense. It just bothers me.
Maybe they need to start. Maybe they need to start this season a little later. Remember, they start a couple of weeks before the NFL, don't they?
That could be. That's something that could help. And do we really have to play? January. Is it all boiled down to money that we have to play January 1st or January? Is that what it is?
I think it's tradition.
To me, that bothers me. The 44-day layoff.
I think
the bye month, as we call it. It's just too much. And then, and the other thing that it just drives me nuts. You look at all these. I remember when I was a kid, you had the Sugar Bowl, you had the Rose Bowl, right? Now you got the Little Caesar Bowl.
I know.
You got the Belk Bowl.
Yeah, you got the
potato
Mako
Bowl.
You got the potato chip bowl that I just said.
The Russell Athletic Bowl.
I know.
The Kraft.
But that's only because it could be the Brooklyn Mikey Bowl if you lay out the coin.
Why not? That's the Billy C and the Brooklyn Mikey Talking New York Sports Show.
But we can't afford it. Whoever pays them. It is. And some of these bowl games are empty. But let's talk NFL. Before I get started on the NFL. It's something that came out that I caught, and it was announced on Monday. But on Thursday, they officially kicked it off. Frontline and ESPN launched a website that's tracking confirmed NFL concussions. Did you hear about that?
No, tell me about it.
Yeah, it's they did that, and they're actually inviting fans to report big hits that they see in the NFL so that they can check it out. It's a website that's up, and you can check it out. It's Concussion Watch. You could do a search on it, but it's this long website. So the best thing to do is just do a search on Concussion Watch by Frontline and ESPN, and it's live. It's active as of Thursday, and they're going to be tracking the concussions and the reports and what the NFL has done with it and all of that. What do you think? Well, I lost you. Oh, you don't say. Oh, but Brooklyn Mike doesn't think much of that, huh? But we'll get him back. But amazing that they did that. I asked you, what do you think?
I heard every word you said.
Good.
So you didn't lose me as far as hearing what
you
had
to say.
So what
do you
think? My question is, so basically a fan can watch a game and see somebody get hit, and then go to the website and say, "Hey, so-and-so just got hit. You should check it out."
Yeah.
So basically, if I'm watching the Jet game and I can say, "Hey, Brandon Moore's ass just knocked out Mark Sanchez," check that out.
Yeah, because the way they're talking about it is it's called Concussion Watch, right. And it's an ongoing joint initiative program is how they're defining it. So, it's there's a long site. It's not just something like concussionwatch.com, But I think if you do a search, you'll see Concussion Watch, and you'll do it. It's the site is actually www.pbs.org/WJ. That's what I'm saying. It's just this long thing. But anyway, check it out. A lot of moves with the NFL, and we talked last week about the idea of them doing away with the kickoff and all this. I hope not, man. And one thing before we get into the real talk here about the Jets, I do have something to say about the Giants. But before that, what's your thoughts of the NFL bringing in Paul Tagliabue to come out and rule on those bounty deal, and he tosses them all out, all his suspensions, everything's cool, and then the next day Goodell is pissed off. He's complaining, saying that those players should be punished. Dude, I think this is a clear case of Roger Goodell just being power-hungry guy, man, and it just goes to show you that Tagliabue was a pretty damn good commissioner.
Yeah, no, I agree, and there's no doubt about it that the power has gone, went to Goodell's head because he was off base, man. You can't start, like you said, you're innocent until proven guilty, and a lot of it was hearsay. So I'm glad that Tagliabue went in and did what he had to do, and I'm hoping Goodell learns from this, but you know what, he probably won't. He's just too much of a power hungry guy, and but I'm glad that Tagliabue did what he did.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see what happens. But I agree with you. I'm not so crazy about Goodell. I'm not. I don't think that he's all that. To tell you the truth. But let's talk a little Giants. Let's get them out of the way. Big Blue. Looks like Bradshaw's not going to be playing tomorrow, right?
No, Bradshaw is listed. He's not playing tomorrow, and they're going to start the rookie David Wilson, who had a fantastic game against the Saints. I think he broke the all-purpose yardage for Giants, over 300-plus yards. Listen, this guy, there's no doubt about it. When we were picking our fantasy football, I wanted to draft this guy, later on in the round, because I knew he was going to be an exciting player. He had speed that you haven't seen with a Giant running back in a long, long time. Then he fumbles his first game, and then he's in the doghouse for the whole season. And, he's going to be good. He's going to be special, especially next year. You'll see. The bottom line with him, he's got to protect the ball, and he's got to pick up the blitzes.
Now, he was a first-round draft.
That, you'll be fine.
He was a number one draft pick, wasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he was picked 18th. 19th,
no, but I'm saying he was
that.
the Giants' number one pick.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
well, you pick somebody. You see, I feel that you pick a number one draft pick when you draft a guy as your first pick. I don't care if you're picking first or if you're picking 31st. The bottom line is this guy has to be able to come in and play, especially a position like running back, defensive line, receiver, somebody like that. And the Giants are crazy to keep a talent like that on the bench, especially when Bradshaw was having these same problems over and over and over. I mean, I think it's ridiculous that that a lot of NFL teams, specifically the Jets, don't play their team. And speaking about the Jets, on Thursday, your boy Rex Ryan says, Wildcats, no more. We're not doing it. Tebow's not going to be on special teams. He's not running a Wildcat. He's not. It's failed. It's not working. And then on Friday, he says, maybe. Did you call him after our conversation? Because I said to you just before he went on air and did this on his press conference that what a stupid thing for Rex Ryan to say to help the defenses, that the defensive coordinator is going to prepare for him to throw out the Wildcat package. What's your thoughts? Is this for real or what?
It was stupid. I mean, even if you felt that way, you're not going to bring Tebow in. I mean, you brought him there because of this Wildcat and to, let the defensive coordinators stay up nights and worry and stuff like that, even though they're not.
Yeah,
but you don't tip your hand. You got a poker game and you turn your cards
hey,
around
Mike,
and show everybody what you got.
Mikey, wait, let me interrupt you. Let me ask you a question. I don't know if you need to take your socks and shoes off or anything, but how many defensive coordinators are losing sleep over worrying about what the Jets offense is going to throw at them?
None.
Exactly.
But this is the stupidity that came out of his mouth and Sperano's mouth when they got Tim Tebow. Oh, they're going to worry now. Oh yeah, what are we going to throw? We're going to throw conventional offense, or we're going to throw the Tebow offense. I mean, come on. It's so stupid.
I think the best thing that they threw was last year when Mark Sanchez wanted to get the hot dog from when he was starving on the sideline. That was about the best pass and thing that the team threw was a hot dog. But I don't know, man. I think it's a joke. That whole thing's a joke. But what I don't think is a joke, and I'm actually happy about it, Mikey, is that the Jets re-signed Braylon Edwards. I thought that losing Edwards was the biggest mistake the Jets made. I thought that he had the continuity with Mark Sanchez. A lot of people had blamed Mark all year long about not getting the job done. One of my pet peeves about the whole situation with Mark Sanchez was they removed all his security blankets. They took away the Edwards. They took away Jericho Cotchery. They took away Brad Smith. They took away running backs. And then we ended up with what we got. How's Edwards going to change? And by the way, he's going to play on Monday, even though he's got he's nursing a knee injury or ankle injury or something. What's your thoughts on him coming back? And is he going to help this team right away?
Well, he'll definitely help Mark Sanchez. I mean, there's no doubt about it that those guys had chemistry before he left. Not only were they compatible on the field, but they were friends off the field as well. So it's definitely going to give Mark a little bit more confidence. That being said, we don't know how bad the hamstring is of Braylon Edwards. We don't know how well he's going to perform and how effective he can be. But I think just knowing that he's on the field and he's out there will raise Sanchez's confidence a little bit, and that's something. There's no doubt about that. That's something that he needs is to raise his confidence, not only his playing level, but confidence as well. So it's definitely going to help. And I've said all along that I'm not a Sanchez fan, never have been. I've been saying since last year, it's not Schottenheimer, it's Sanchez. And that being said, they did set the guy up to fail. There's no doubt about it. Between, like you said, losing all those players, losing Alan Faneca, losing Thomas Jones.
They didn't lose Faneca. They gave him away. That was
exactly.
The stupidest.
By giving everybody away, they set the man up to fail.
Yeah, that was the stupidest. I to this day, he had to have pissed off somebody in the office because they just cut him. I mean, they didn't even get anything for him. You're talking about a guy that was an All-Pro, and he's still playing well. So, but you look at the receivers now. Braylon Edwards will be the biggest guy. Their rookie, is he out? Is he hurt? What's the story with the rookie?
I think he's still out as of now. The rookie from Georgia.
Georgia Tech, yeah.
He's still out. So, listen, like I said, just Braylon Edwards being, just lining up on that line is going to help Sanchez out.
Well, think about
it. They're talking about his hamstring not being that bad, as opposed to what Pete Carroll said. He'll be lucky if he plays another game this year.
Well, he passed the physical. He passed the physical,
No,
But
I think it's fine.
But look at the receivers. They're Smurfs. He's got Curley, right? He's got Schillings is the biggest one. Out of the receivers, we mentioned the rookie from Georgia Tech. He's injured. He's probably, like you said, Mike, he's probably not going to be playing this weekend, the rookie. But Schillings is I think is going to play. Hopefully Edwards plays. If the Jets can get a win on Monday night at Tennessee, then maybe we get Keller back. And all of a sudden, you got an offense that may get 100 yards total offense on the field. I still think Tony Sparano is the worst. I don't even think. I think that John Madden should ban him from playing Madden. That's how bad I think he is. And if he's with the Jets organization next year, I'm going to be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if Rex is still with them. But I would be shocked if Sparano is. This guy is a failure. He should never be in football again. Him, and Joe Cortez should go get an apartment somewhere, at the Russian front because I think they're both awful.
I think you're right that Sparano will be gone. I think Rex keeps his job. I think Tannenbaum will be in the Jets system, but in a different capacity. And I think they'll get a different GM, a football guy. And the other person that's going to be gone is going to be Tim Tebow. Yeah, and well. To be honest with you, if they get rid of Tim Tebow, I think there's a great chance that Tim Tebow is not even in the league next year.
Good. I don't. Nobody has an interest in him. Don't be surprised if he sticks around the Jets. That's all I'm saying. Hey, listen, we're running out of time, so let's run through the picks for the week. We're in week 15. We are in week 15, right?
We are in week 15.
Yeah, because I know with the bye week, you actually play. Mikey, ladies and gentlemen, Mikey is now 2 games up on me. So congratulations to him. At one point, he was 6 games behind. I'm acting like I'm a sportsman, but deep down, this is ripping me apart. And trust me, I will make life hard on Mikey someday. But right now, he's up on 2 games. We're going to go with the first game, Green Bay at Chicago. A tough one for me to pick. Who do you like?
I like the Packers. They won last 7 of 8, and they pretty much own the Bears right now. The Bears' defense has been terrible, especially in the run game. And if the Green Bay can have any kind of a run game, it's just going to open it up even more for Aaron Rodgers. I don't see them losing to Chicago, even though it's in Chicago.
Yeah, I'm picking the Packers too, reluctantly, because I'm a Bears fan. But what I saw what the Vikings did to them. I think you hit it on the head last week with the injuries with Urlacher and the Bears just not performing. We could see the beginning of the end for them this season. The next game is one that, obviously I'm going to be picking with my heart. Atlanta against the Giants. Atlanta's home. Everybody keeps finding ways of saying Atlanta's not good, but they got the best record in football, and I think they're going to continue. I just hope that Eli doesn't bring his fountain of luck that he always carries with him. I'm picking the Falcons to beat the Giants. Who do you like?
I'm actually picking the Giants in this game. I think David Wilson is going to have a really good game, which is going to only help Eli in the passing game. The Falcons seem to play better on the road than they actually play at home, even though they have an outstanding record with Matt Ryan at home. But they seem to struggle a little bit. And you don't know if Roddy White is playing right now. He's questionable. This could be the first game in his 8-year career that he's missed. And that's going to be huge. Even if he does play, it's not going to be 100%. So,
but they got Julio.
The Giants just happen to they come up big. They beat Green Bay, they beat the Saints, and I think they continue and beat the Falcons.
Julio. I like Julio Jones. Like I said, I'm picking the Falcons. The Saints are going up against Tampa Bay. I know you like both teams. The Saints are home, though, and that's why I'm picking them. Who do you like?
I believe I have the Saints as well. Yeah, I do. I'm looking at my notes. Both teams they have slim playoff hopes. They need a lot of help, but they are playing in New Orleans, and that's a tough place to play. Buccaneers lost a tough game last week at last second to Philadelphia, so I'm taking the Saints in that one.
The St. Louis Rams are going up against the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are a different team when they're on the road, but I think they're good enough to beat the Rams at home. The Rams are home. I'm picking the Vikings over the Rams. Who do you like?
I'm picking the Rams. They've won 3 straight games, and they still actually have playoff hopes. The Vikings, all they have is Adrian Peterson, and no Percy Harvin, and Ponder has nobody else to throw to. Fisher has that team playing pretty good ball. He's done a nice job over there, and I always liked Jeff Fisher as a coach. I think they're going to continue. I think they win their 4th in a row and keep their playoff hopes alive, and I'm taking the Rams.
Cleveland against Washington. There's no line on this game because it hasn't been officially announced if RG3 is going to play, but I think he will, and I'm picking the Redskins. They're on a roll. I picked them as my sleeper team, so I can't abandon them now. Who do you like?
I'm taking the Browns in this game.
Jesus.
They've actually been playing pretty well. It was a tough game for it was an emotional game last week for the Redskins. I think this could be a letdown game for them. They are playing in Cleveland, at home in Cleveland. Tough place to play with a dog pound. It's going to be a close game, but I think the Browns are going to sneak out a victory.
Next game, Miami Dolphins against Jacksonville. 2 fantastic teams in the state of Florida. I guess somebody's got to win. I'm picking the Dolphins.
Yeah, I'm picking them as well too because like you said, they're both pathetic teams, but they are playing in Miami, and listen, I give them the nod. That's just the bottom line. I think they're the worst they're the best of the 2 worst teams, so I'll go with the Dolphins as well.
The next game, Denver playing at Baltimore. This is a tough one, man. Who do you like in this one?
I like the Broncos. I think the Raven defense has slipped a little bit. Their offense is never really on track. It's basically hit or miss. And Denver has a good defense. Obviously, they have Peyton Manning, and it seems like each week they just play better and better and better. So I think the Broncos are going to go in there and show them, who the real playoff team is going into the playoff race, and I think they beat them in Baltimore.
I agree. I think Peyton, took the first quarter of the season to get used to his new team, and now it just seems like Peyton in a different uniform. So I'm with you, man. I'm going with the Broncos, even though I absolutely love the Ravens. But the next game is the Houston Texans at the Indianapolis Colts, and we were talking about Andrew Luck earlier. This kid's, I've become a fan just because we both figured that they would win a couple of games this year. They're comfortably in a playoff spot right now. However, I got to go with Houston, and the reason why I'm picking the Texans this week is because they lost last week. I can't see this team losing 2 weeks in a row, especially at home.
They didn't just lose last week. They got embarrassed by New England, which pissed me off because I lost my fantasy football playoff because Brady went crazy.
Yeah, but you picked them, but you gained a game on me, you bastard.
But I lost out on my my fantasy jackpot, so that pissed me off. So yeah, I agree. And I think the Texans are going to come back. They are playing in Houston. Andrew Luck seems to play better at home than he does on the road. Look when the Jets played him. So I like the fact that they are playing in Houston, so I'm taking them as well.
San Diego's doing exactly what you said they would do, but they get to play Carolina. But then again, Cam Newton is a big question mark every week. You never know what he's going to do. Who do you like in this game?
I like the Chargers. They just seem to play well in December. I was surprised that they went into Pittsburgh last week and beat Pittsburgh. They just seem to turn it up a notch. And they are playing at home. Carolina's got to travel out to the West Coast, and that usually doesn't bode well for East Coast teams. So I'm sticking with the Chargers.
Yeah, I'm going with the Superchargers myself, even though I'm hoping that they totally everybody twist their ankle, so the Jets have a shot at them. But I'm picking the Chargers too. The next game, Seattle Seahawks against Buffalo. This game's going to be playing in Toronto, which is actually pretty much a home game for Buffalo. I don't think it's going to matter. I'm picking Seattle.
Yeah, I'm picking Seattle as well. Seattle's a different team, obviously, when they're playing in Seattle. Case in point, they destroyed the Cardinals last week. 58-0. It was embarrassing, and that's the game that actually killed me in my fantasy football because the guy I was playing had Seattle's defense. So believe it or not, I was punching holes in walls last Sunday. Again, playing in Toronto, it's a neutral site. I don't care if it's close to Buffalo. It's still Buffalo, and Seattle is doing really well. They've won 4 out of the last 5 games, and I think they're going to continue and beat the Bills.
I think if they want to be a serious playoff team, they're going to have to win on the road, and maybe it's going to start this week. The next game is Detroit Lions against the Arizona Cardinals, who started off this year looking like they were going to be a team to be reckoned with, but then again, they haven't won since. I'm picking the Lions. Who do you like?
Listen, whoever plays the Cardinals from here on out, just give us that team because they are just god-awful. 9 straight losses. I just mentioned the 58-0 shutout in Seattle. It's a terrible, terrible team. They asked Ken Wiesenhunt at his press conference after he apologized to the fans, and he says, reporter says, so who's playing quarterback next week? And Wiesenhunt said, can you play? So, that's how bad it is.
You know where he's from, right?
Wiesenhunt?
Yeah.
Where?
He was from the Jets. He played on the Jets as a tight end, man. He was during the Ken Wiesenhunt, however you pronounce it, was part of the Jets when they had the scab season. Remember
yeah.
And he was a tight end.
Scott Moreau and those guys.
Yeah, and he actually stuck with the team. I think Scott Moreau did too. Anyway, I picked the Lions as well. The next game is Pittsburgh against Dallas. everybody thought Pittsburgh was going to be back on their back on the winning track as soon as the quarterback got back, but they lost last week. And I'm picking Dallas. I think they're making a late run. I don't think that they're going to go anywhere, but I just think they're going to make it interesting in the NFC East the way every year is in the NFC East. And I'm picking Dallas. I think Pittsburgh is going to help the Jets for some reason if the Jets continue winning. I'm picking Dallas in this game.
Yeah, I am too because, like you said, they're making some kind of a run. They've won 4 out of their last 5 games. They had a really good come-from-behind win in Cincinnati last week. And the other thing is that they're a home dog. They're playing in Dallas and they're underdog. So I always love a home dog.
Me too.
And I'm taking them as well.
The next game is the Oakland Raiders against the Kansas City Chiefs. I pulled for the Kansas City Chiefs. I've always liked them because they're an original AFL team and everything else, but they're having a real hard year. And Oakland is that team that I thought was going to do better than they are this year. They have talent, they really do. Something's lacking. Maybe it's the coach, but I'm picking Oakland. I think Oakland's going to win this week. Who do you like?
Yeah, I'm taking Oakland as well. Usually these two teams split, and Oakland has beaten the Chiefs already this year, but I think they're going to sweep this year because of just talent-wise. I just think they're a better team, and like you said, the Chiefs just aren't playing well. They are playing in Oakland, so I'm giving the edge to the Oakland. I'm picking them as well.
The New England Patriots, the team that makes me sicker than eating 5-week-old hot dog, is playing against the San Francisco 49ers. Listen, New England, they're the creme de la creme, but that's why I'm picking San Fran. Who do you like?
I'm picking New England. They're just on a roll. Their defense is playing better, especially the secondary. How do you stop Tom Brady? I mean, it happens, few times. I mean, yeah, Giants have done it in the Super Bowl, but they're just getting into this rhythm. They're 10-3. They're every year it's the same thing. We keep saying the same thing. As long as Brady and Belichick are together, that's the division winner, and that's just what it boils down to. And they're playing at home, and they're playing on Monday night, national television again.
No, they're not.
You know how they play.
They're not playing Monday.
They're in the national spotlight. They just showed you last week.
They're playing Sunday night, not Monday night.
Sunday night.
Yeah.
Again, it's a national game though, but they just flourish, especially national games. I'm taking the Patriots.
I think the 49ers have to win. I mean, they went from one of the perennial favorites to slipping his last couple of weeks. But
have to win. Yeah, they really do. Especially now if the Giants beat Atlanta. They're both teams are looking for home field advantages throughout the playoffs. So obviously it's a big win. It's a big game for them. But have to win and beating the Patriots in Foxborough on a Sunday night, good luck.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm picking the Niners. And then finally, Monday night's game. Tennessee's a favorite in this game. They're home against the Jets. I think that Braylon Edwards is going to be that spark for this New York Jet team. I really do. Not that he's superstar, nothing like that. I just think that he's something that Sanchez needed, and I think that this is. I hate to repeat Boomer Esiason, but I do think that they are going to make a run. If Cincinnati and the Pittsburgh Steelers can both lose again, then maybe we got a shot. I'm picking the Jets in this game.
I'm taking the Titans, and the reason is, I understand. Braylon Edwards is coming back, but still Sanchez is still Sanchez, and he still makes a lot of mistakes that are his fault and not the fault of team moves. 22 of 40 for 208 yards, no TDs and 3 interceptions, and 2 fumbles in the 2 wins that they just had. But those wins were against the Cardinals. And look at that game, 7-6. And look what Seattle did to the Cardinals. What does that tell you about the Jets, how awful they are? I give you the Jaguar game. Again, it came down towards the end of the game. I mean, it's just they're not good. The Jets are just not good. And what better victory for the Titans than to knock the Jets out of the playoffs with a victory on Monday Night Football? They have 3 very good receivers, and they have to still worry about Chris Johnson. So I like the Titans because the Jets played. They got 2 wins, but look at the teams they played. Everybody, look at the Jets run the table. Look who you played. You played the Cardinals and you played the Jaguars. I mean, not that the Titans are the Patriots, but they're much better than those 2 teams, and that's all you need with the Jets. Somebody that's just a little bit better, and the Titans are, and I think beating them at home and keeping them out of the playoffs is going to be their playoffs.
Well, speaking of the playoffs, the Jets need Cincinnati to lose at least one more time. I don't even know if they have the tiebreaker, and they need Pittsburgh to lose at least one more time. Now, they play each other, I believe, next week. So, I mean, mathematically, it's getting down to the wire for the Jets as well.
Yeah, I mean, Cincinnati would lose the tiebreaker with the Steelers and the Jets. So they have a 1-game lead. It's gonna go down to the bitter end. But if the Jets lose Monday night, it's all over.
It's over.
Yeah, it's done.
On this day, December 15th, in New York sports history, I got a bunch of them that I wanted to talk real quick. On this day, December 15th, Mikey, in 1896, the very first hockey game, the very first game of the first hockey season in the United States takes place at the St. Nicholas Club Arena. St. Nicholas Club hockey team beats the Brooklyn Skating Club 15-0 at the St. Nick Arena on this day in 1896. On this day, December 15th in 1900, the Giants trade fireballer Amos Russi to the Cincinnati Reds for a young right-hander named Christy Matheson. Matheson would go on to have a Hall of Fame career and go 373 wins against 188 losses for the Giants. Russi, he went 0-1 for the Reds. On this day, December 15th in 1925, former world light heavyweight champion Battle and Siki, who was actually one of my favorite fighters, great story, is shot to death in Hell's Kitchen. He was 28 years old. On this day in 1935, the Lions whipped the Giants 26-7 to win the NFL championship. And also on this day in 1946, the Bears beat up on the Giants. You notice a little trend here? Every time I see something negative about the Giants, I throw it in.
I see that.
The Bears beat up the Giants 24-14 for the NFL championship. And then finally, on this day, December 15th in 1980, Dave Winfield signs a 10-year contract with the New York Yankees.
I remember that. That was a big that was big, huge back then.
That was huge. I think, aside from Catfish Hunter, Catfish Hunter, I think, was the first guy that got free agency going. But I think Dave Winfield was pretty early on too, wasn't he?
He was. I mean, I think when that contract was signed, it was like $2-3 million a year, which was a lot of money back then.
For 10 years.
10 years, yeah.
And he did win World Series with the Yanks, right?
No.
He didn't?
I don't think so.
So he was like with what's his name?
Yankees
Mattingly.
The only decade the Yankees didn't win a World Series was the 80s. That's the only decade they didn't win a World Series.
Well, that was his decade then. Winfield and Mattingly, they missed out, you know.
Exactly.
As soon as Mattingly retired, they got the series to next year.
Yeah, that's right. They did. They got it next year.
Any final thoughts, my man?
Final thoughts one more time. My prayers and thoughts goes out to everybody who is suffering in Connecticut right now. And, looking forward to, increasing my lead over you. And that's about it, my friend.
Well, we got 5 games to do it. It looks like you are going to increase your lead. And my final thoughts, I too, join you in the prayers and thoughts and condolences to all the family and friends of the victims in Connecticut. That was a travesty. I'm also really hoping that the Jets make it interesting. Not that I think that they're a good team or even should be discussed as a playoff, but I need some kind of positiveness for that team. I hope it happens against Tennessee. I hope you're wrong, although deep down I can't argue with you. But I'm picking the Jets anyway. I didn't want to see Braylon Edwards leave from the get-go. I'm glad he's back. I hope they keep him. He's the kind of receiver we want. And, I hope this is maybe the beginning of a humbling move by the Jets organization. So, and it's all coming right after he was talking smack through Twitter. That's amazing. Within 7 days, he's on the Jets. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, I mean, I saw Rex Ryan's conference, And he said, well, what about the comments that he made? Well, I said, he says, I told Mike Tannenbaum, well, he's talking about you. And Tannenbaum said, no, he's talking about you. He goes, but you know what? Who cares?
Yeah.
It is what it is. I mean, you needed the guy. That's basically what it is. You needed a receiver.
And he also said that I've been called worse. So, Mikey,
exactly.
Until next week, man, I hate to say it, but I hope you lose at least 5 games this week and we get evened up, all right?
Thanks, buddy.
All right, man. We'll see you guys next week. Ciao, baby.